You are tuning in to the Human Side of Engineering and Product Development podcast, brought to you by Saratech, where we bring you industry leaders and some of the brightest minds in engineering solutions and product development. I'm Andy Dio, your host. Join me as we discover the inspiring stories of the people behind the most innovative and game-changing solutions in the market today. So tune in and enjoy. Good morning and welcome to the latest episode of the Human Side of Engineering and Product Development. My name is Andy Dio. I'm your host. And today I'm very fortunate to have two gentlemen, Brian Geary, president and owner of Stretch Forming Corporation, and Mike Russell, who is the general manager for Stretch Forming Corporation, on the podcast with us today. So Stretch Forming Corporation, based in Paris, California, specializes in complex metal forming and machine solutions. The company offers a wide range of services, including metal forming, machining, heat treatment, and program management, primarily working with the aerospace, defense, and space sectors. Am I correct there, Mike and Brian? Did I capture your company correctly?
Nailed it.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Glad to have you two on today. I really appreciate you spending some time with me. So Brian, Stretch Forming Corporation, you started the company. It's almost 15 years since January of 2009, right? It's almost 15 years. This January will be your 15th year.
Really? No, not really. Stretch Forming Corporation has been around since the 60s. I purchased it in 2009 when it wasn't flourishing. My father owned it in the 60s with two other gentlemen, John Johnson and Al Lewis. And I used to clean the toilets in there in junior high school.
Oh, yeah.
Work in the summer times reluctantly in the factory. I'd rather be at the beach. He got out in the 70s, and then I got in another company. I started in the late 70s, Versaform Corporation, which I sold in 2002. In 2009, I was asked to purchase Stretch Forming Corporation, which I did. And then we grew it and bought a facility in Paris and purchased another company up in Rialto and combined everything in 2010. Then we greenfielded quite a few aerospace approvals, brought in heat treat. And then Mike Russell came in about 7 years ago.
7 years ago, yeah.
7 years ago. Mike Russell's job has been, he's our general manager. He pretty much runs operations, is to grow the machining portion of our facility as well as running everything else. We've grown the machining operations dramatically, and we're still growing there. So here we are.
Oh, wow. So, sounds like you were predestined to be running the company from a very young age. So you ended up just staying in the family business, right?
Well, my father owned another company called Metal Forming Corporation. There's a picture of me downstairs, stretch forming an Airstream skin. When I was 8 years old, he brought me in over the weekend because they kept breaking them. Airstream skins, those corner panels are very stretch form parts. So he trained me over the weekend, and then he let me know on Monday I'm coming in to a crew's going to be working for me. I was standing on an egg crate running this thing. I was very nervous, but it all worked.
No, that's great. That's great. Now, Mike, how did you get into this business?
So when I was young, I actually started working for a company called Swift Engineering and started my career on the floor running a bandsaw. had kind of the plan to go into electrical engineering, finish my degree, but I love manufacturing, making things in my hands, so I kind of stuck with it. Here we are 20 years later.
That's great. That's great. I mean, one thing I really love is working with my hands. Like, when I'm not a trained engineer, but I love doing things around the house. There's just like such a satisfaction that comes from it when you fix something yourself and you're like, oh yeah, I did that. I think there's so much pressure today. When you're a young person going to school, I mean, it's pretty, you almost have a prescribed path, right? You're like, okay, you need to go to college, you need to study to be a doctor, engineer, and thing like that. I think we're really missing out on, people acquiring a trade. Not everybody needs to go to school. Not everybody needs to go to the same path. I think people and young people need to kind of find their own way. I think some of that is missing today. What's your opinion on that? I know you work a lot with young people out there, Mike, college students and people who are looking to get into the industry.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always going to be that need for, skilled trade. I think we're seeing a bit of that thinking that everyone has to go to school and get in debt and become an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. Because we're seeing an influx of like a lot of the younger generation coming on board here that we're training up, or people that are going to these trade schools now, for example, hiring our machinists and things like that. So I think we're seeing a little bit of change right now. But yeah, definitely, historically, it's been kind of like, I got to go to school and get a degree and do that.
If I could jump in, Andy, I couldn't agree more on the feeling of making things. Nothing makes us happier than walking into the shop and seeing product being made and figuring out how to do it. And it's just very, very, very satisfying. A lot of people don't get that. They're, whatever they're doing for a living. And I understand. I just never have done it, but I always. There's no better feeling walking through that factory and looking at all the product and look at all the great, cool stuff going on, cool programs all over the world. Extremely fulfilling.
Yeah, I mean,
those
parts kind of.
They do. Yeah.
Each one of those parts has some sort of story with it.
A little bit of blood on it, blood, sweat, and tears in each one. Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a reason why, shows like I used to love to watch the Orange County Chopper show, where I don't know if you guys ever seen it, where there's this family who builds custom choppers. I mean, those guys are great. I love seeing things and things. Great things being built and cool things being built. So I love that. Now, you guys recently attended the Paris Air Show. How was that? I mean, that's something that I see on online and on the schedule. I'm like, that's something I always wanted to attend. And I think this was the first time they also had a California pavilion at the Paris Air Show. That's pretty cool. How was that for you guys?
Yeah, so that was my first time attending the Paris Air Show. It was a fantastic experience. You attend these type of things, you kind of have like an idea it's going to go, and you obviously try to put a plan together and try to set up meetings with specific suppliers and customers. But what was interesting to me was the stuff that you didn't have planned, and just the people who were unplanned that you met to stop by the booth and got to meet. And that's obviously how we kind of came into contact with you guys, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, those shows are always great. So what are you seeing? What type of changes or trends are you guys seeing in the A&D industry?
Well, there was a lot of stressing of clean.
This green, going green. Yeah. eco-friendly.
Yeah, eco-friendly.
Yeah.
And a lot of new technology phones weren't there 5-6 years ago. A lot of so the show is so large.
Yeah.
You can, even with a week, you can barely visit. It's so massive, so impressive. You just have to go. We're going to go to the Farnborough show next year. So they alternate Farnborough, England, and Paris, France, every other year. So we're going to attend the Farnborough in the California Pavilion again next year. We're pretty certain. But if you ever get a chance, Andy, I mean, see what you can do. See if Saeed will step up and let you go.
Absolutely. I'll put my name in on the mix. I need to be at the Farnborough show or the Paris Air show.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned about sustainability, environmental friendly. I mean, I looked on your website, and quality and environmental friendly are two of your tent poles. I mean, those are two things that your company really focuses on. How do you ensure that you are doing that, or your employees and everyone in the company kind of look at that and say, yeah, that's something that we're dedicated and committed to, and that's something that we plan to make sure that everyone understands and follow the process?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously that's a bit of putting a policy in place, right? So that's where we start. So we obviously have our quality policy and our environmental policy, and then posting that out there, training our employees up, showing rooftops, incentivizing people. It's really how we do it. Get everyone's buy-in to be able to move forward with those policies.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, because obviously those are very important topics. I mean, quality by default. I mean, if you don't produce quality parts and you don't do a good job, you're not going to stay in business for too long, right? Especially the business you're in aerospace and defense. So that's great. Now, just dovetailing on that, if you can talk about this, please do. Your company was recently recognized by Boeing for exceptional delivery performance. Are you able to talk a little bit about that and what you guys did to be able to achieve that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the division of Boeing that recognized their MRO spares division and AOG division. So essentially what happens is we're having low volume, high mix of part numbers we deliver for them, primarily for aircraft that are on ground. So they're grounded, not flying. They're trying to support their customers with short lead times. They wanted to recognize us because we had almost an entire year of delivery of 99% plus on-time delivery. Or again, like I said, first-time builds. These are all parts we've not built before typically, and they're low volume, high mix.
Wow, that's great. I mean, to be recognized by a company like Boeing, that's fantastic. That just shows that you guys are doing a really good job in delivering quality products to them. Fantastic. Now, one thing that I want to kind of talk about too is where do you guys see the technology going? I know recently you guys had incorporated 3D printing into part of what you're doing that helped you save a lot of time and effort. Can you share some insight on where do you see things going in terms of technologies in your industry and the things that your companies are looking to kind of invest in?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously starting on the additive side, the 3D printing, the tool, I think that's going to be a huge area where we're going to have a lot of investment here over the next couple of years and put a lot of focus on. We're always trying to stay up with new machine techniques as well and new metal forming techniques. I mean, we were just looking at a new process just yesterday. We drove out to a company in the Valley and was looking at new
which are Machina Labs.
Yeah, it was a Machina Lab, do basically a pinch forming process with robots.
Robotic forming of metal, and it very impressive. And they were very open, and we have also invited them to visit with us. But it was a great meeting, and it's, I think, part of the future. So this is, they've got a fair amount of funding it appears, and they're all in, and it's quite a place. They're already making parts for aerospace. I don't know if they're flying yet, but there's a lot of automotive, and there's a lot of prototypes. But they're making these parts without tools, so they're robots. So when we make product, we require some sort of form dot.
Yeah.
They're doing it without, which is very impressive. Very, very impressive.
That's very interesting. Robotics, of course, there's a lot of use of robotics in a lot of different industry. And lately, the thing that everyone is talking about is AI, right? Hey, AI this, AI is going to take over the world. It's going to, be like the Terminator. They're going to take over everything. I don't think it's going to get to something like that. But do you guys see any trend or anything? Maybe something that AI can help with. Not that they would take over, but maybe using some sort of AI technology to assist with what you're doing, or even in the aerospace industry.
It's one of those things that we don't truly 100% understand yet, right? We're kind of dabbling a little bit, playing GPT a little bit, and some of these tools and resources to kind of, that's the creativity of it, right? So what is the actual limitation? We don't really know, or how do we apply it yet? We're kind of toying with it right now, seeing where we can apply it.
Yeah. It's a very, very interesting frontier, and it's growing so fast. Just from last year to this year. I use some of that technology just to, you can go in and tell AI to, hey, let's give me a picture of Elvis riding on a rocket or something like that, and they'll go in and do it. Right? So it's pretty interesting technology.
Okay, Elvis on a rocket.
that's okay. Give me a picture of Elvis on a rocket, like in 30 seconds, it literally gives me a picture of Elvis sitting on a rocket with his guitar and his microphone. It's pretty amazing.
Hey.
Right. And, it's to me, that's just another component and another technology that we can tap into. Of course, obviously, we need to understand the ramification and understand how we can use it to help us do our job better, right? That's the whole point of technology and AI. With so many things out there, you guys are busy people. Everyone's busy. How do you keep up with all that? How do you keep up with, not just technology within your industry and what you're doing, but, the general, aerospace and defense industry? How do you keep up with all of that?
I think it's the social medias helps a lot with that. LinkedIn, we're pretty much on there daily. There's a lot of good information. That's a great source for information. Engaging actively with our suppliers, customers.
We're going on the road a lot more, visiting. It's as much as LinkedIn, social media. I've call me old school, but there's a difference. If you go and visit, you have you face-to-face meetings, spending that makes a big. You want people to pick up the phone and call yourself and say, hey, I need some help, and then you want to be able to come through for them. So relationships. It's old stuff. Carnegie stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, for a while there, we weren't able to do that, right? I mean, with the pandemic, we weren't able to go see other people. We couldn't sit, face to face. But I absolutely agree with you, Brian, is that nothing just beats sitting in front of a person, having that conversation, look into a person's eye, and just, shake their hand and talk about, hey, how can we help each other do things better? 100% agree with what you're saying. Now, I know you guys don't, you can't, I know as much as you want to, you can't be spending 100% of your time just working, right? We have to have some fun too. What are some of the hobbies that you guys like to do? Mike, for you, what do you like to do?
Yeah, I have an array of hobbies. I like to go to the gym. I go to the gym every day, about 6 days a week. On Sundays, I play in a co-ed softball league. Enjoy go ride dirt bikes and playing baseball with my son, my daughter.
Oh, that's fantastic. What about you, Brian?
Well, I tried hiring at 44. I didn't do a good job. I needed, but I have four wonderful children, and a wonderful wife, and one is still in college, and the other, so we spend a lot of time together. I used to surf a lot. I don't not as much anymore. Um, I still love this place. I love working. I stay in this. I live in Del Mar. I stay in a man cave up here 4 or 5 days a week because by the time I get home, the only one awake is the dog. I found when I retired, I didn't have a lot to contribute. I was, and I need the work. I need to do something. So got back in.
Yeah.
And I regret it. Well, some days I regret it.
Yeah, no, it's
some days
that's with everything else, right? No, but that's great. I mean, it's really good to be doing something that you truly love. I mean, Brian, sounds like this is your passion. This is something that you really enjoy doing and that you love doing. And that's great. You're a very lucky person because a lot of people don't have that, right? A lot of people don't get to go to work every day doing the things that they love. And sounds like that's what you do, which is fantastic.
I'm not kidding. I pinch myself every day. So I'm very lucky.
That's great. Now, to that point, I like to circle back to what we were talking about earlier about, kind of help guide students or the younger generation into finding that passion and finding the things that they really love and wanted to do, right? The world, we need more engineers. We need more doctors. We need more craftspeople. Well, we need people who can make things and do things. Mike, what would be some of your advice to someone who may be watching this podcast? And we do have a lot of younger and student watching this. What would be your advice to them? When it comes to, finding your passion and finding, what you want to do and pursuing it.
Well, I think I could speak to the manufacturing side because that was kind of my passion. And so I think what manufacturing gives you that a lot of other, career paths may not give you is you can actually have something tangible when you complete the job, right? Something you can touch and show people that you physically made and you had a part in making, right? So it's a sense of pride that I think you can get from a lot of other career paths. As well as having the opportunity to go when you see that plane on everyone flies. So you go to the airport and you see that plane sitting there, you tell your significant other, your kids or your friend, you go, hey, that part right there, you point at it on the plane and say, we made that. So that's neat, and I think that's what makes me passionate about it is that sense of accomplishment, to be able to share that with people.
Very true. Very true. That feeling it's hard to replicate. I say, I literally made that part.
Yes.
I'm looking at it, right? It's being used.
And I want to extrapolate on that a little bit. I think what makes that sense of accomplishment, so prominent is that there's a challenge that goes along with making each part, right? So you don't always get it right the first time.
Yeah.
It's that challenge, because it's not easy, that you have such a huge sense of accomplishment when you do make that part finally. So if you like to be challenged, this is the right career path. You'll never be bored in manufacturing.
Well, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to toot my horn here a little, only because it was one of our biggest victories. This not at Stretchform. This is my previous company, Versaform, and we were asked to figure out how to form the first winglet for aviation partners. We were doing the work for a company called LMI, and they couldn't do it. So they came to us, we have to get this thing done. And it was long and short of it. The Southwest Airlines ad you see on TV with the thing that flips up at the end. Well, we're the guys that figured out how to form that first lead engine and make it do that back in the 90s. And that was a pretty cool accomplishment. You still see those today. Yep. So that's pretty neat.
That's awesome. That's great. Now I would never look at that ad the same again, knowing that little tidbit. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So I know we're getting down to the end of the time that we have here. So I just want to ask you a final question, Brian or Mike. Can you guys share, if you can, any exciting upcoming projects or partnerships that you're working on, that you're really excited about, that will bring something new to the table for you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a lot of things to be excited about here at SFC. This year has been phenomenal. We've brought in a lot of new work this year, a lot of new exciting programs. Just to name a few, can't get any details, but we're working on the B-52. That was a big thing we worked with Saratech on. We're also working on a lot of new work for G650, which is exciting, and 767. So I think the one of the bases, the air bases here in California, just recently took delivery of their first tank. So that was exciting as well.
Yes,
fantastic.
And we're seeing for a lot of space stuff coming in. We're doing the frangible points.
So we're seeing a lot more space, which we're excited to be part of. Obviously, partnered with some of the stuff going on in the ULA for the moon mission, which is exciting, right? Artemis. So that's a great program to be on.
Yeah.
Going back to the moon. Additionally, we're working with some really innovative companies right now doing gravity space stations. So they're planning on putting 30-meter long space stations that actually will create artificial gravity in the space station. So and they're modular, so they can go up to, I think they said 100 meter, which is pretty neat.
Oh wow. See, these are the kind of things that excite me. I love our industry. I love the things that we do. I've always been interested in technology and new things. And this is great. That's why I love being part of this and being part of this industry. But Mike and Brian, thank you so much for spending some time with me today and sharing some of your insight and sharing, information about Stretchform Incorporation, what you guys do. I've learned a lot. I'm sure, our audience who follows or watches podcasts will learn a lot as well. Really appreciate your time, gentlemen, and best of luck and full of success in the future.
Andy, it was our pleasure. The opportunity.
A lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you so much.